How you doing, Amanda?
I'm good.
Yeah. How many days you have?
238.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hell yeah.
How does that feel?
Feels really good at this time because I have been sober before this long.
Right.
You know, you always feel like you can just have that one, and I have to play that tape back of why I get sober.
Why you can't have just
Why
one?
I can't just have one because I never can.
Yeah.
Right. You
Maybe
said you
one day I can have one, like, you know, the first time, but then
Right.
it always leads right back to starting in the morning and ending
Yeah.
passing out.
you said you have had this much time before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a year and a half.
Oh shit. Yeah.
So have you been trying to get sober for a while, or were you kind of just trying it out? When did you recognize you had an issue?
I kind of knew I might have had an issue because it kind of runs in the family.
Yeah.
But the main thing was when I went to the hospital and they told me I had pancreatitis and it was caused from alcohol.
Yep.
That if I drank ever again, I would die.
Tight pain right here.
Yeah.
I had pancreatitis.
So it only took me about 10 tries in the hospital and,
Damn.
you know,
Yep.
and it wasn't just a one nighter or go there and leave. I had to
Yeah.
stay for like 5 days
Yeah.
and it was horrid.
Yeah. Yeah. I did some time in the hospital too, with the pancreatitis. I had all kinds of issues. I'm sure just like you, but, where did you grow up at? Did you grow up here in Bakersfield?
Bakersfield, born and raised here.
Born and raised. And then what age did you start drinking?
14.
And was it just drinking, or did you get into other stuff as well?
I was really against drugs until I hit 21, and one of my roommates was getting thin, and I was like, "Bitch, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
For real. Like, what is the secret, right?
Every night, you know, and she's all, "You're not gonna want to do it," and I found out what it was, and it was meth, and sure as shit, I tried it and got hooked on that for a good 2 years, and got sober from that because I went to prison.
Yeah.
So, and I had got pregnant. I went to jail, got out for 2 weeks, got pregnant, and got 16 months with half. So it was 8 months, and I actually had my daughter the day I got out.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a story.
That's some timing right there.
Yeah. That's crazy. What did, was that your only time that you spent in prison or in jail?
The first time I ever got in trouble.
Really? Do you mind if I ask you what it was for?
Cells.
Cells? Wow.
Standard
Standard.
for people like us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, with it being your first time or your one and only time to do that much time, because you hear about guys, that do drugs or do meth or heroin, and they don't get that kind of time.
Especially not their
This
first
was
time.
back in 2007 when Oxycontin, 'cause that's what I was selling is Oxycontin. And so that was new, and they were really more strict about that. Like they were offering me 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when the pills were like,
Yeah.
like we
Kinda
hate
like-
pills. Yeah.
It was kind of like the fentanyl today.
Right.
You know? So.
Yeah, I remember when they were talking about Oxy like that. So you did 16 months or 8
With
months?
half, 8 months. Yeah.
8 months. Wow. What was that experience like?
Well, it was a wild ride. You kind of just get used to it. I mean, the good Lord, I was pregnant, so I didn't have to deal with a lot of that. I did 4 months at Valley State, and then I did a mother infant program. And that was, if I was to have my daughter, I could take her home with me from the hospital, because if not, she would have went with a family member.
Yeah. So you do that though, and is that a big wake up call? What were your emotions around that?
Definitely a big wake up call. I never wanted to go back there. I don't want to say it wasn't bad. I see how people keep going back to that. I mean, just like alcohol or anything else, because you kind of just, that's your life for now.
You adapt.
Yeah, correct. You adapt to it. So, I mean, I didn't like people telling me what to do, so that was the hard part. But, I mean, I really see how people get adapted to it because, just they take a time out.
Yeah.
And there they go, back again. you know, I have a good family that really supported me, and then a brand new child.
Right.
You know, I don't know if it would have been different if I would have, you know, not had her, because I had a whole different lookout in life.
When you got caught and then you got locked up, were you aware of the consequences when you were selling?
I knew, but I just like anything, you don't think it's going to happen to you.
Right.
You know, like we got raided. So, you know, it was kind of a big deal. It wasn't just pulled over. Oh, you have
Right.
this in the car. You know, they were looking for us.
Really? Did you have to do some probation off that too then?
I did 14 months.
That's the hard part right there. When you can't slip up for that 14 months, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah, I mean, I just never looked back because I mean, meth wasn't my thing. I never, you know, I just got caught up in that,
Right.
and I never liked drugs, you know, and so it was pretty easy for me to quit that. Now I went right back to alcohol when I got out,
yeah,
you know, because it was okay with my family.
Yeah.
You know, you want a glass of wine? Oh, you can have a little glass of wine while you're nursing. You know, you can
Yeah.
pump it out,
Right,
or whatever.
right,
and
right.
So, and then I think that time is kind of where more of the addiction came in, you know?
Right.
Because when I drank pretty heavy before I did meth, and when I did meth, I didn't even drink.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is one of those ones.
Flip flop.
You go so fast, you're not really concerned about drinking really at all. So, burning question, I got to know.
But
Did you get thin? Did it work? The reason
It
that you
did
told you it did work.
It did work. Like almost too thin.
Almost, yeah.
Not where I don't know. I didn't think I was too thin, but everybody else did. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you don't know until you look back at it and you look at the photos and you go, man.
It wasn't.
yeah, I didn't look too bad. Like it was only a 2-year span, you know?
Right.
So it was like fast.
Yeah. Yeah. What was home life like for you? You grow up with both parents?
Both parents. My parents did separate when I was in 6th grade. And we lived with my mom, and I mean, they were good. My dad is an alcoholic, but never drank in front of me. He quit before we were born. So, I mean, I knew about that, but just a normal family,
Really?
you know?
Brothers and sisters?
I have 2 older brothers, and then one of my cousins my parents adopted.
Mm.
So, and I call him my brother too. And my older brothers are addicts too. And had more, like they were in and out of jail,
Right.
you know, like and here they hadn't even went to prison after all the little things they did, and here I.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Right. It only
know?
takes that one time, but you were kind of running with some bigger fish,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. Definitely.
So when oh, go ahead.
Oh, I
have
was
something?
just taking a good breath.
Oh, okay. That's just me being fat.
It was a long day at work. I'm a little heavy. You know how it goes.
So you get out of prison. Was it pretty easy on you, or do you think that you had mentioned that the alcoholism kind of grew from there? Was that because you were at home with the baby, or?
I wouldn't say right then. You know, right after I just started drinking occasionally,
Yeah.
you know, and then it just led. Honestly, it was probably when I was about 30. One of my aunts told me you could drink alcohol to get rid of a hangover.
Yeah.
And that really fucked me.
It's a fact.
It really fucked me. And so I would have a shot in the morning. Well, if you have a shot in the morning, you need a shot 2 or 3 hours later too, you know?
Yeah.
And then it becomes every hour or so forth, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, go in the middle of your work, go into the car and taking a shot, or, you know.
So what led to the first time you quit, and you said you had a year and a half?
That's when I got sick with pancreatitis.
The pancreatitis.
And all my friends drink, and just, you know, we were going through the motion. My husband drinks, and it just led.
Yeah.
That was about 4 years ago now. And the big deal was my husband and I went on a cruise. And I was already drinking, but he didn't know. Just a few Trulies, and I packed me a full bottle of vodka in the Listerine bottle on the cruise.
Did you? Mm-hmm. He found out when you were there?
No, I mean, he already knew I didn't care. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to have a drink, you know,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
what is there much to do on the cruise?
Yeah.
Right.
So, and he's having one, so am I.
Yeah.
It actually started the night before. We stayed in a hotel and they knew it was our anniversary. I guess he told them. And we get a knock at the door and it delivering champagne. Yeah. And that's where I said, I'm popping this, like, you know, to
Yeah.
him. So it wasn't, he didn't buy it for me. He didn't know I bought
Right.
it. And then it was on from there.
Yeah. Wow. So then what led you to this 8 months that you have now?
Honestly, it was my daughter. I knew she was starting high school. I didn't want her to not have a present mother, you know, and running around and
Yeah.
having the same problems that I had. So, one day we were going right before school started to a soccer tournament, and she's all, if you drink before we go, you're not going. A Friday at noon, and of course I was already drunk.
Of course.
She dumped out my suitcase, and my husband and her friend took off.
Wow.
So
She was not
shit-faced.
playing.
Yeah, not planned. So got shit faced all that weekend, and that Monday when everyone got home, I called my friend and said, "Come pack my clothes. I'm drunk and I'm going to rehab." So my husband came home and drove me down to Manhattan Beach. I stayed there for detox for 6 days.
6 days? Mm-hmm. How was that?
Horrible.
Really?
It was horrible. I just had a bad experience. The place I went to, of course, I just wanted IVs because I that's what I did in the past when I would get sober is go to urgent care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They give you
They-
fluids.
Give me some fluid.
And they give you some other good stuff.
They give you
what I mean?
benzos.
Yeah.
Well, I was prescribed Xanax.
Yeah.
So that's I didn't know I don't abuse them or anything, and they were kind of my. I would take them like instead of drinking when I couldn't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of used them for that, not like
They
popping
were
them
your
like
fill-ins.
Yes, exactly. When I knew I couldn't drink or, have the shakes at work,
Right.
pop a little Xanax. So that's how I would wean myself off normally at home. And it just was a bad timing. This house that it was at, it was like a mansion and they were moving to another one. And the counselor was, getting married. So she was gone for 2 weeks and the nurse was gone for a week for a funeral. And it was just
Really bad timing.
It was very bad
Yeah.
timing for me.
Yeah.
But when I got out of there, everyone's like, you better have a plan. And so I had a plan to go to an outpatient
Yeah.
program. And that's where I really,
Got a hold of
got
it.
a hold of it and got some more help and all that. So that was just a good starter. Because if I wouldn't have went out of town, just for anybody, go far away, I would have not probably had those 6 days where I felt great.
Yeah, I recommend it too. If not, this last time I got sober, I was taken to the behavioral hospital, and if I didn't spend that week in there, I probably wouldn't have lasted. Because it's not that I learned a whole bunch while I was in there, but it just allows me to go through the process of. Because right then and there, I started going through the process of saying, hate to do this or hate to say this, but like saying goodbye to alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Alcohol is
That's a thing.
it was everything to me, So, and I had done that before. I had gone to the hospital and quit and swore it off and all that, but it never stuck. This time around, I knew that I had to do something. I knew that I had to make a change. So I was adamant about finding a psychiatrist, about finding an outpatient program.
Yeah.
I knew I had to do, because I had tried everything already, so I was really on my own anxious to do something. I wanted something different. I was tired of it.
That's what they say. The addict has to be ready.
Yeah.
You can't force them.
No.
So
Yeah, it's crazy how, that, there's nothing you can say or do to get somebody to quit.
We've all tried. I mean, for one, it's been tried on us. Everybody in our families at some point, hey, you probably drink too much. You probably do too much cocaine. Probably, any is probably too much for most people, you know what I mean? And then they're like, hey, you probably smoke too much and all of that stuff. But until you're ready, you're not going to hear any of that. And I find myself doing the same thing to family members and friends. And then I have to check myself. Like, why am I telling them this? Like, they're not going to stop until they're ready. So all I can do is be there when they are ready. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And show them where I went, some of the tools that I've got. You know what I mean? Like they say in some of the places, I just got to give them what I got,
Yeah.
and that's all I can do. But as far as like you go into rehab and you go into the mental behavior, like I didn't have that. But I did kind of isolate myself for a few
Yeah.
weeks, like didn't leave the house or anything like that. I think that's important because it also breaks a program. You know what I mean?
Breaks your routine.
It breaks the routine that we have of I drink at this time, I drink
Right.
when this happens, I smoke at this time, I do my lines at this time. You know what I mean? When these people are asleep and this is going on, and you know what I mean? So that really helped to break that routine because routine was everything for me. You know what I mean? I never had hangovers because my routine involved drinking in the morning, like you said. And it's a fucked up thing to hear. It's a messed up thing to hear, but it's the truth.
It
Hey,
works.
Raymel, you can't be drunk and hungover at the same time. You're right. I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's a terrible way to go at things.
Yeah, mine definitely was like I got the shakes when I quit drinking.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
So it's just miserable. So and you know what can fix it.
Yeah. Real fast too. It fixes it like
It sure
that.
does.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it does. I got to the point where it wasn't doing anything for me anymore. Like it was, I was
survive.
having the effects, yeah, but it was not very, it was very dull,
right.
and I had to drink more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think the last week I was drunk every day. I was always drunk every day, but I mean, I never came down at all from,
Right.
like I woke up and I was drunk again. Normally you wake up and you have a hangover and you go get
and
another
then you
drink.
go get another drink, right?
But no, I was still drunk from the night before, and that never really happened to me. But yeah, that if you can get over the fact, that because it's hard to say that you're going to quit, it's hard to go that path because all you know is alcohol or drugs or whatever. But I wanted to get into your first 30 days of sobriety this time around. What were your emotions like?
For me, it was a big roller coaster. I had good days and then bad days. I just still from the last time, I can't ever get over, even now after 8 months, I can never drink again. And I don't know why that won't leave me, So it's just like this little thing in the back of my head just keeps saying it, It's like, because it wants to be fed with
Right.
some alcohol. And that's my 30 days. Like, I'm like, I could do this. You want to drink? I could do this. You want to drink? And I'm like, God, just go away. And it has eased, when I'm around people that drink, sometimes it's like right there knocking at the door. And I'm like, nope, we're not backtracking because that's, they can do it. You can't. So, but yeah, my 30 days was definitely a big roller coaster.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, there's got to be a statistic that if you make it like 30 days, what your chances are of making it, because the first 30 days is rough.
Oh yeah.
It was hard for me.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the more time you have, you feel like you achieved more. So it's easier, not because it's easier, because it's just like, okay, I have 8 months now. I can't ruin 8 months. And when you
Yeah.
have,
Yeah. You don't want to
2
throw
weeks,
away
you're
that.
like, fuck, I only have 2
Yeah.
weeks. What is it?
Yeah, that and you don't have tools. Now because you were in an outpatient program, you do have the tools that you learn.
And
So
definitely the support.
yeah,
Like that was the biggest thing, just having, I call them my sober sisters,
Yeah.
that because everybody I know drinks. So you could do things, without alcohol involved. So that was really nice to meet people that were going through the same thing as I was and, and still are and
Yeah.
understand. And
yeah, that's kind of what I I had a problem too with just thinking, not necessarily that I'll never drink again, but more so that what am I going to do to have fun? How am I going to enjoy my life? When you had put down that you've been drinking since what, 13, 14?
14,
You know, so your whole teen and adult life is pretty much, you have drank that whole time. Same with me, or under the influence of something else. You know, you don't really know yourself. You don't really know what you like, what you don't like. I mean, you kind of do, but it's a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because it's like so distant. You don't know what you're going to do. You feel lost. But at the same time, I get peace in knowing that I get to reinvent myself. I get to, you know, redo, learn things that I do stuff like this, you know, that I never thought I would be able to do. Because if we were doing this, I would have a liquor bottle right here. But I would also say, you know what, I got to use the restroom and go drink one so that way you guys wouldn't see. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
same here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we're
If I
being
would've
realistic
even made
about
it-
it, this would be a totally different topic.
Yeah.
And the bottle would probably be here,
A shit
and
show.
we'd probably, you know what I mean? Yeah, it would be ugly. But how you were saying your guys' 30 days was like that, my 90 to 120 was like that. It was when I graduated from the program that we go to, where like those thoughts started to creep in. I've always had the never drink again. I hate that thought. So I
too.
smashed that thought immediately. And I'm like, don't think about the future. Cause like I've said it in a group before, I'll make reservations.
Yeah.
Like, well, shoot, in 5 years when we do
Yeah.
this, I'm gonna, you know what I mean?
The Cowboys make the Super Bowl.
Cowboys win the Super Bowl. What am I going to do? And I still know, like, when that happens, like, I got to have, if it ever happens this year, but I got to have a plan in place. You know what I mean? Because that's something that I've been waiting on since I was 13 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things that I got to have something in place for. But after that first 90 days when I graduated, and I was like, see, I did that. Wasn't that hard. I'm a heavy drinker, man. I'm not an alcoholic. I can go have me a drink, you know? And I fought with that. You know what I mean? I really fought with that. And, you know, my brothers and everybody, you know, they still drink and all that. And the homies, when we're around, they all drink and do their thing. They don't offer me anything, but I mean, it's there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I'm lucky. You know how you said that you have all your family members drink. None of my family does. You know, my wife doesn't drink. So it's not like I come home and it's around. I didn't have to go. If I had to get rid of bottles, it was because of my bottles.
Always
you know?
yours.
Yeah, it was always mine. It was never, you know. So that made it a little easier, I think, and it made me get to that place in the 30 days of being like of finding peace finally.
all right.
Have you noticed a significant difference in the way you deal with things now?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I was to snap a firecracker real quick, and now I can handle, you know, my house is so much more peaceful. My daughter and I's relationship so much better.
Everything flourishes. Huh?
It does. It really does. And that's what I have to tell myself, you know, because when I drink one drink, like my voice changes. So even if I'm not like sloppy, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
It's like,
Does it go up a pitch?
I really don't know, but let me just tell you. As soon as I call somebody or my husband got home or my daughter, it was like, you're drinking. And I'm like, I'm not. No, I'm not. I swear. Go look. There's no alcohol here.
Right.
You know? And then they even got so bad where they bought a breathalyzer.
Really?
And they'd be like, blowing it.
And then, you know, we get defensive. I'm not blowing in that. I told you I didn't drink.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how'd that make you feel?
Yeah. At first I was like, screw you, you know, but you can drink, you know, because my husband drank, and I'm like, well, you can drink, so you blow in it, you know, and then I would try to trick him and hope, like, from spacing him out, you know, that I would blow, and I wouldn't blow.
less.
You were experimenting?
Yeah.
And sometimes I would blow 0-0, and I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? But see, I told you.
You got one.
Got one. Yeah.
I got it past him where the thing didn't work, you know? But yeah, definitely home life is way better. I feel better, you know? It's just amazing how much and what alcohol does to your body, and you don't realize why you're drinking, you know?
What was pancreatitis the only issue, the main issue that you had?
Well, I had high blood pressure,
Right.
you know, and I was taking some medicine for my pancreatitis and all this. And now that I've been sober for this 8 months, I don't take anything.
Really?
So that's a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, not having to go. Yeah, I still have high blood pressure medication, but it runs in the family, so it's not like it's just that. But it was really high when I was drinking.
Yeah. Because, nope, it's just fine. My doctor, I just stopped taking it. And when I go, they say my blood pressure's great. And I'm like, oh, good. I don't take it no more.
Good. Yeah.
So,
So you get 30 days. You get 30 days, and then you get into the 90 to 100 what he was talking about. What is that? Is that a different feeling than the 30 days?
yeah, it got easier. I feel like my, 30 to 60 days, I was on that pink cloud that they say,
okay.
you know?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I got this, you know. I started, you met new friends, everything felt new, you had, like I said, sober sisters. So it was really good. That up to 90, it was great. Now that I graduated, I was still going, and I have a little family issue with my aunt. And so I had to back up a little bit, and I really miss it. I can feel my anger, or, like maybe because I'm not voicing myself like I can in group.
Right.
Whatever it is, like now I'm starting to see like I get angry faster, and I'm like, get your ass to a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to a meeting. So, or if I get when I get out of town and I've been with people all weekend drinking, I'm like, yeah, I need to get to a meeting.
Yeah.
Because that seems like every time I relapsed too in the past, it was, a long weekend, everyone's having fun. And then what do? You want to drink too,
Yeah.
but you don't want to do it in front of them. So I would go home to sneak it, and then slowly until I got caught.
Yeah.
And then they knew I was back on the bottle.
Yeah.
It's that disconnect though. Like you're right. Like and it happens super fast, right? Like I didn't go to group last Thursday, I think it was. And sure enough, by Saturday and Sunday, I was off. You know what I mean? I was getting short with people, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was just frustrated for no reason about things, you know what I mean? My program was off. I wasn't doing the things that I do on a daily just from missing one time. That's all
Yeah.
it took was for me not to go be around my guys and hear us all talk and crack some jokes and hear like what the beginning people are still going through. The
Yeah.
people that are going through their week 2, week 3, hey guys, I got 3 days and this is what's going on. Just to remind
Yeah.
me, you know what I mean, of how crappy things really were back then.
Yeah, you have been pretty consistent on going, popping in every now and then.
Yeah, at least try to go once a week. And, Saturdays seem to be the best for me.
Yeah.
But it's just hard at night with my aunt and, dinner and all that stuff. It was, so I at least try to get in there once a week.
What type of, if you don't mind me asking, what type of work do you do?
I'm a hairstylist.
Are you?
Uh-huh.
Did it affect, drinking affect that, obviously?
It sure did, especially when you make your own appointments. You just call them and say, I'm sick, or,
Right.
because with my pancreatitis, I mean, I would be in bed for 3 or 4 days
Yeah.
when it would, at home. And so, you'd have to cancel them, and you're like, fuck, I canceled on them last time they were here. I can't cancel on them this
yeah.
time, and you'd have to pull it through and just tell them you got a stomach ache or, anything. So, but pretty much like nobody's ever like knew I was drinking. Like I didn't get to that point where
Yeah.
it was like noticeable. During COVID was the worst probably. One, started working out of my home. It was right there, easy. I didn't really have to face anybody besides the one client, that I was working on. It was
Right.
easy to mouthwash and stick down in your mouth. You're
Exactly.
wearing a mask, and
Yeah, that was the best thing about masks.
Yeah.
It really was.
They
It was the
can't
best
feel it.
thing.
Yeah.
So in that situation, were you able to like, when you're doing somebody's hair, there's things that have to set or something
Yeah,
like that, and
they
you'd be
take
like,
a
"Hey,
shot.
I'll be right back." When that happens, would you go away and
Yeah, and I never did that inside a salon.
right?
But
At home.
that's when it kind of all went down.
It's tough at home.
Yeah. Because, I was you wouldn't want the boss to know or the owner and they kick you out. So therefore I didn't do it there. But
You know what? Kudos for you because I wasn't that good. You know, I would go out to the car on breaks and stuff like that, and maybe even have like the little shot bottle in the pocket for inside.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
too.
but a salon is I worked in bigger like warehouses
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I guess in a salon it's more personable. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They could
and-
probably tell a little bit more.
And like I said, my voice changes. And
Yeah.
people that I've worked with for a long time. So
That's why I can't-
They would know real fast.
That's why I couldn't smoke weed, and no matter what I
Oh
do.
yeah. No.
Before I would get high, like it takes me a little bit to get high, but as soon as I hit it, my eyes go bloodshot. Before I feel anything, my eyes are just bloodshot, and people are like, "Oh, okay, this guy's obviously smoking." You know what I mean? So I was like, "All right, this isn't happening at work."
Yeah, it's hard to get around it, and it's funny because when you're in it, you don't think that. At least I did it. Mm-hmm. I never thought that. It was always, oh yeah, I can hide it. Nobody can smell it. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like it was always like that. But you know, you run into people now, and you know they obviously they don't know. They may have not have known what it was, but they just knew that they know now that you look better, that you feel better.
Do you get that from
Yeah.
people too? That's just the
Definitely.
thing, yeah, right? Like, wow, I don't know what it is. Did you lose weight? Did you get something going on?
I always
mean,
just say, yeah, to losing weight.
You always say,
Like, that's it.
Hold on,
I've been going to the gym.
Let's see, is that a gym face right there? Yeah, that's a gym guy.
You gotta
right
hit me
there.
from the angle like that. You gotta let me know when you're gonna do it,
That's right. That's right.
so I can pick up my double chin.
Okay, right now, got him.
Yeah,
And one thing about weight and stuff is I lost weight when I would drink because I didn't eat.
Right.
And you know,
Right.
like it's when I would quit for 2 weeks or 3 weeks on my own, and I'm like, fuck, I'm getting fat again. I'm just gonna drink a little bit, to like stay skinny because all girls want to be skinny. So, but I'm like, fuck, can't do that because it's so unhealthy.
Yeah.
And that's why I got so sick because I didn't eat or anything when I was drinking at all.
Drinking
Yeah, I
at
didn't eat either.
14 though. What was going on at 14 that had you drinking already?
Well, I had 2 older brothers, so 8th grade, and then my mom, I think it was 8th grade, we went to the beach and had a hotel and got some wine coolers, nothing big, a 4-pack,
yeah, the little Barton or
And
whatever.
then, when we went to high school, every weekend there was a cake party, there was parties, and you get home.
So you were
I'd
just
be
drinking.
home at 11.
So you were just drinking kind of socially at that time, like
Yes.
going out to parties and stuff. You weren't coming home and drinking yet or anything like
no,
that.
I didn't. No, we didn't drink at home. Not our freshman year, sophomore year, maybe would start stealing alcohol.
Yeah.
When the parents went away. Not at my house. My parents didn't really have alcohol at the house, but some of my friends' parents would have some vodka,
Yeah.
And we were so bad, we would drink it and then fill it up with water and put rubbing alcohol on top of the lid. So,
For the
Oh,
smell,
that's
for
an
the
extra
smell
one.
effect.
so
Okay.
they would sniff it.
We're getting creative now.
Yep.
All right. Until he drinks it.
yeah.
Well, you mix it with something, So
Okay,
it's like,
so it's still got a little
Well,
something.
they never said anything to us, so
Yeah. There you go.
we would still leave a little alcohol in it, so
Smart.
it wasn't just all water.
Yeah.
That's pretty creative.
The alcohol on the top.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what somebody else. I thought there was one other one. I thought that somebody else was on the podcast that told me. I'm gonna have to start noting all those so I can like put a list together of all the different things that we've tried to hide in ways to hide.
That
our-
juveniles use when we
Yeah.
were drinking and we were young.
Yeah, just speaking of people saying, "Do you look better?" or whatever. I went to Rite Aid to get my alcohol. It's right by my house.
Yeah.
So the lady's like, "You look good. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I quit drinking." They knew like I was
Right.
coming with the bottle every single day. And she's like, "I could tell you look really good." And I was like, "Thank you.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm proud of you." I'm like, "Yeah, you're tired of seeing me in here drunk."
Right.
all sloppy. Yeah, that's crazy. Same thing with me. I went to, I actually went with my wife to Soli's right here. Mm-hmm. I used to go in there and get my liquor, and the lady's like, "Hey, Sam," and I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, man, I can't believe she remembered me. And she goes, "How have you been? I ain't seen you in a while." same thing. I would just stop drinking.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't go into stores anymore. Is there anything that you do? Like for me, I don't go into stores. I still don't carry cash. I just hit my year mark. And so I still am not really too comfortable with myself yet too. It's not that I'm not comfortable with it. I don't think it'd be a problem, but I don't want to give myself any reason.
Right.
So I just don't. Was there anything, maybe not now, but that you did in the beginning to make sure that you didn't drink?
No, I really didn't. The only thing is my husband would lock the liquor in his toolbox, and he was the only one with the key.
Yeah.
So it wasn't there. But when I was drinking, it was like a guessing game, hide and go seek of where did he hide the
Where did he
bottle?
hide that?
Because he would hide his from me, because then I'd get into his and he wouldn't have any. And he would hide it all over. I was like, motherfucker, where'd you hide this today? Damn garage. I went everywhere looking ups and downs. And
Were you
all around.
good? Were you good at it? Did you find it most of the time?
Motherfucker, I was going to find it.
That's right.
And it was like, I could go to the store.
You could, but that's
And back in the past, like my husband would take my car keys, like things like that.
Yeah.
He didn't want me to drink, and so he would like steal my car keys from me and stuff. So I couldn't go to the store.
it's 2023 right now. I'll have somebody pull up.
I know.
I never had.
I've never done it either.
never
but-
done
I
it
would
either.
walk to Rite Aid because I'm just right there.
Yeah.
Pissed off as hell that you stole my keys, motherfucker. I'm gonna get me some.
So how does it work at Rite Aid? Is it is the alcohol behind the counter, or is
Yeah.
it like it's out on the it's like a
floor.
grocery
No.
store, right?
Yeah, it's just on. The
Okay, so
Depends on where it's at, because I know in some areas in Rite Aids they have them behind.
Those are
Right.
usually the higher end alcohols that are behind the counter.
Are they?
Yeah.
See, so I'm a more of a liquor store type of guy. You know what I mean? So I was just wondering, did you guys ever frequent a spot to where like when you go in, like I go to get my beer or some snacks or whatever, and the guy automatically has my bottle sitting there waiting on me. Did you have that
No.
type of no?
Because, like I said, I went to Rite Aid and you have to
Yeah.
get it and go to the counter.
Right.
So, and that was the closest store to me.
Sully's was like that for me.
They'd have it ready for you. Now that was embarrassing. Like, say you would have went in with your wife and like they put.
I
it
made
there.
sure I would never go in with her. I would
Right.
never go into a store with her.
Yeah.
I just made sure that I never did.
There was a gentleman in group who had shared one time, and it was just same type of thing. Been sober for a while now. Haven't been to that place for a while now, because I'm sober now. I'm not
Right.
going in there. So I go in there, months later on just some regular stuff, going to get something with the wife, and it's been months, but the guy still does it.
Yeah.
Boom. Now I got to explain to the wife that this guy's tripping. I haven't been in here. Like, this isn't our routine
Yeah.
anymore. You know what I mean? And it just goes to show, like, to what you're saying, sometimes it's better to be smart than strong.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, change up your routine a little bit just to be smart. Why even test yourself,
Yeah.
Yeah. If it works, I mean, whatever works for you, and you'll know, do you feel, like I don't have, I have all my own cards, bank cards.
Yeah.
I don't share with my husband on that. So if I did only carry cards, he wouldn't know,
Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
I have all my own accounts, so it wouldn't really help me in that sense,
Yeah. Did it really, for me anyways, my marriage started to, get real rocky there at the end. Was that something that you experienced as well?
Definitely. It was, yeah. He was tired of, one, I was sick all the time,
Yeah.
Sick or drunk. There was no really,
Sick. Just sick.
Yeah, I was sick and drunk, but like when literally I would throw up, and the only thing that would heal it was alcohol. That would
Yeah.
actually, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, it did the
I
same
couldn't even
thing for
drink
me.
Water, I would just straight shoot
Yep.
it out. As soon as I would take a shot, and it didn't have to even be that much. Then I don't want to say okay, but I could
You
go
could
through my
function
day.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many times of that, then it was like, okay, you're real sick. You got to go. You got to get yourself back to drinking Pedialyte, and, because you get dehydrated.
Yeah.
And, the pancreas just, it was horrible. So,
Yeah, the same thing for me. Did you experience that?
You know what's weird? I didn't have any physical issues with
No, the marriage part.
oh, most definitely. But it's kind of crazy because I guess mine's kind of like yours because we both drank. You know what I mean? I smoked and did a bunch of blow, but we both drank, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just untrustworthy, you know what I mean? Like I said, didn't kind of communication skills were trash, you know what I mean? Because all I wanted to do was drink and be left alone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only times that I wanted to talk and it was a dead giveaway is when I was coked out. Talk for hours, you know what I mean? This guy that says 30 words an evening all of a sudden wants to talk straight
Wants to
through
chop it up.
chop it up for 3-4 hours, you know what I mean? Let's turn the TV off, you know what I mean? It's getting in the way of this conversation. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But I definitely my behavior was definitely leading to a point to where my wife wasn't feeling this guy a whole lot. You know what I mean? Who wants to be with somebody that they can't trust?
Yeah. You know, I think that was probably your biggest, if I don't want to speak for you, but I was going to say is that the biggest thing that you talk about the most is the trust factor and getting that, the dishonesty part.
Yeah, that was huge.
For me, it's obviously the square,
Yeah.
side of the street clean. Was there something in particular you had mentioned? Was it just the fellowship of the ladies? Or was there something else that really that you drew from within your first, few months?
90 days or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I would just definitely say the fellowship, sober people, because outside of the program, I didn't really have any sober friends,
Yeah.
They're not addicts, but they're,
They're normal drinkers.
yeah. So yeah, definitely that really was the big thing for me is like support.
Yeah.
Because I had done it I've done it myself so many other times that I actually felt like somebody was helping me along, or if I needed more help, or,
Right.
I could speak my mind and I wasn't just talking to myself in my head all the time. Like, you can do this, you can do this. I could, and have a cheerleader,
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, the ladies in our fellowship, they're fierce. You know what I mean? You're running with some that'll be like, where is she? Like, we're gonna pull up at the house type of ladies. You know what I mean? So yeah, you got an awesome support group coming from
Yeah.
over there.
I really, really like my support group there.
Yeah, they're really good. I see them, and the men do it too. But I think you see it more in the ladies, that when something's going on with somebody in particular, they really rally. You guys really rally around each other, and you guys are like there and trying to figure out and trying to help any way that you can.
Yeah, I was really surprised, like with the group, and each time there's a new person, everybody just gathers so much, and you always think there's going to be an outcast.
Yeah.
As long as I've been there
Right.
for the last 8 months.
And all different walks,
guys-
all walks of life.
Yeah, all the guys and girls, and I mean, I don't know if it's the staff there that helps it.
I think it's
or-
our common problem. I think
Okay.
I think
That
it's
unites
probably
us all.
yeah, because for me, I think that's what really, like the light bulb kind of went off was the square deal, but also was the fact that I heard my story and other people's story, and that's actually why one of the reasons why I started the podcast too. Because if I can sit down and talk with people, and I can relate to them, maybe not do the same exact things in the way that you did them, but I know the feelings that you had. I know the emotions that you went through. That I really connect with that. And that's what was really big for me in the group too. So I think that's where you get, where you say that you like the fellowship. On the, going back to your meth days, were you using all the way up until you got caught and then you quit? Or did you quit prior to that? Was that a hard thing to quit?
Well, what happened is I had went to jail for 2 weeks, and then we got out.
Right.
We got out on bail, so I was sober for that 2 weeks, and then I never used after getting sober in jail.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So That's what sober.
So it was just getting locked up.
Yeah.
Kind of just put a abrupt end to it.
And I knew, you know, when I at court that day, because we were out on bail, they, you know, I had to turn myself in a month anyways.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't know I was pregnant, but we found out shortly after, you know. So
It scared you straight.
it sure did.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of my uncles was an you know, meth, and
Yeah.
it's just I already knew where the life led. So I just was like, what did you do to yourself? You know, you always think you're stronger than the next person on the right or left of you, and
Of course.
you know, I mean, drugs just can get a hold of anybody, any walk of life or anything. You know,
Yeah. I
not
think
just the bum on the side of the road.
Yeah,
no.
what we used to
Definitely.
think growing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can really attack anybody because they
Yeah.
were all, you know, just like us one day, and it just took them a little farther than.
Yeah, everybody's bottom's different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they may not have reached it or they're comfortable with where they're at. Because you could still be a drunk. You can still be drinking every day. You still have the same attitude and live in that misery. You can do that. It's your choice. I just,
Like it.
no, I can't, you know, in that case, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe in Jesus, and that was one of my biggest things. You know, I mean, every morning, like, please God, don't let me drink today.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Yeah.
can get through a few hours sometimes, or even a day or whatever. And you know, something come back there, Satan come to attack you, and go get a bottle or find something. You know, that was the worst when you thought you're going to be sober and go find a cupboard and you know, or
Right.
clothes or your whatever, and you're like, oh shit, can't waste that.
Well, not only that, if you were like me, you know, if I got a day or two, I would say, well, see, I could quit. You know, I'm good. I can
Right,
drink. So
right.
then I would drink just because, you know, well, I haven't had one in a day or two, or it's been the weekend. Really, it was Saturday morning, and then I didn't drink on Sunday, and then Monday I'm drinking again. You know, it wasn't the whole weekend.
Yeah,
That did
I
not-
only had one person in my life that ever would tell me anything about my drinking and my drug use. So that's what kind of gave me the pass. I didn't need to go 2 days. No DUIs, not the fall over sloppy guy
Right.
or anything like that. You know what I
You're
mean?
doing blow too.
That's it. That
Yeah.
that would straighten me up a little bit because if I did get too far, I would go ahead and because I got to get home. You know what I mean? But it was always so I didn't think I had an issue either. But then it came to that thing where it's like you would say, I told myself I wasn't going to do it today, and it happened. So I had to think about it. Have I ever in my life told myself I wasn't going to drink that day, or I wasn't going to smoke that day, or I wasn't going to do cocaine that day, and then didn't do it? I drank 100% of the times that I
Right.
said I wasn't going to drink. I smoked 100% of the times I said I wasn't going to smoke. Cocaine, it just depended because that shit gets expensive. So there were some days where I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Just because I didn't want to spend $200-$300. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that's when I realized, like, okay, so like you said, everyone has different bottoms. I don't have to be falling down
Right.
in the street. I don't have to be that aggressive start. I don't start fights, and I get cooler, I feel like, you know what I mean? I just kind of
You're
sink
pretty
in and
sober.
stuff, you know? Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. But I realized, like, if you tell yourself that you're not going to do something and you do it every single time, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's my body saying, no, you're going to do this. You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
pretty, it seems simple way to look at it, but you know, a lot of us don't put that two and two together the way you did.
Right.
You know, for me, it was because I didn't try hard enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I just didn't, you know, or maybe God doesn't want me to quit because I you know, I'm a Jesus lover too, and
Right.
and I would pray to him all the time too in the morning, say, just take it, please. I don't want it. Can you stop? You know, I don't, you know, I know you have the power to do it, and he does.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would pray and pray, and, you know, he would never take it from me. But I also know that now, looking back in retrospect, I wouldn't enjoy life as much as I enjoy it now and have the peace that I have now and the happiness
Right.
if I didn't go through it. I don't want to necessarily say that you have to go through that to do that. There's other ways to do that, but you know, he was definitely working on me
Right.
in his own way. You know, not in the way that I would have liked. You know,
That's an our will thing. That's when we want
Yeah.
things the way we want things, when we want them to happen, and it might not be his will for it to happen that way, you know?
That's yeah. I learned that. And I mean, God can move mountains, but you do have to put a little of your own 2 feet, you know, one
Yeah.
in front of the other. I mean, some people I know have got blessed and just woke up
Yeah.
and they don't even have any cravings.
Right.
it was like that for me with weed because I was a big weed smoker in my 20s, and then I would pray every day. You know, God take this, and then one day I just
Didn't want to smoke no more.
didn't want to smoke anymore. It didn't appeal to me. It didn't nothing. It just literally the desire just went. I mean, I don't know how to explain it,
Yeah.
but with alcohol, it didn't. It wasn't like that. You know.
Yeah, I get tormented still.
The drinking? Yeah.
I really do.
You have the dream still?
No, I've only had a couple of those.
You only had a
And
couple.
Those my dreams were more and less like I drank and I didn't want to tell anybody.
Right.
Because when I'm awake, I feel like that. Like if I just had one, I probably wouldn't tell anybody and just keep counting my days. You know?
Right,
And I
right.
feel guilty. It's like this own
You'd be super
thing I'm
guilty.
talking to myself in my head. You know, like if it was to happen, what would I do?
Right.
And so I've dreamt about it, but I haven't had the major nightmares and stuff like that. that
Right.
people-
You're referring to the reservations of drinking in the future, then?
What do you mean by that? Like,
You said,
yeah, like, well, yeah, it's
like you can't get it. It
can't-
pops up in your head. You know, you know what I mean? At my daughter's wedding, I can't have a drink.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
Which my daughter would not like that at all.
I was going to say, you might be okay to not drink it through because
Yeah.
she's going to, she's not going to allow
she
that.
definitely is the one thing that got me sober and why I would have so many days for certain events that would happen at school or whatever.
Right,
you know?
right.
If I was working at the school or helping, you know, I'm like, okay, you can't drink for 3 days, so you're not
Right.
shaking up on everybody, you know? Or
And that was important enough to you
Yes.
to be like, okay, I'm not going to do it for this. Yeah, for your
I would
daughter.
suffer,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely for that because I didn't want to embarrass her.
Yeah.
You know, like she's like, "Mom, you cannot drink on my graduation night."
Right.
You know, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is gonna be hard." But okay.
Yeah.
She showed up.
I was going to ask you. One of the things that I've come across with it seems to be harder with moms than with guys, with dads, and it's hard for dads too. But from the female perspective, it is hard to make that jump to go like you did, go get sober at a rehab for 30 days. What am I going to do with my daughter? You know, and then they're all different age groups. I have somebody in my life right now that she's a mom and she's trying to get sober, and you know, she was, you know, beating herself up the way we do as parents. You know, why can't I just, you know, because I was the same way. You know, why can't I get drunk? Why can't I get sober for my kids? You know, how come? You know, how come? Where's that euphoric moment that I have with my kids? And you know, and I don't want to do anything but, you know,
Right.
like you see on TV, and that never happened. But what would you say to a mom that is knows she has an issue, is the primary caretaker of her kids, to get the help that she needs?
I would definitely say you're gonna feel so much better in that little bit of time because some people have to take a year, you know. And I'm like, you know, some of my friends that are alcoholics, you know, they've said I'm gonna get sober or I can't leave, you know, I can't leave them for a
Yeah.
month or what am I gonna do? They're gonna miss me. And you know, 2, 3, 4 years have went by already, and they're still messed up. You
Yeah.
know? And they've actually gotten worse. So that little bit of time that you're
And you
away-
missed out anyways.
Yeah, you're not.
You're not
100%.
present.
You're not present. You're that little bit of time that you think you're away. You know, you're gonna give your kids a way better life. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I am, and I'm not even like doing a lot more.
Yeah.
It's just I'm present. So you know, and I can tell like I'm not quick to anger. I'm not. You know, it's way better. So I would say if you're feeling it, God's tugging at your heart. take that next little step. And you could do a week where you could just go somewhere and then do the outpatient program. That's what I recommend, because you're still with them. You just have a few nights away from them,
Yeah.
and hopefully you have support at home. If it's not your husband, your family member. My aunt is a really big helper for me. And when I did go away for that week, and my best friend, it was summertime, so nobody had to take her to school and stuff.
Yeah.
And she just kind of went over there. So, but do it while it's tugging at your heart, and it'll be the biggest blessing you've ever done.
Yeah, God. I think God does make a way for you when you do decide to go that you've got to make a change. I think that even if you don't believe in God, there's something out there bigger than us that gets you. Your kid's going to survive. Your
Correct.
kid's going to survive, and
And if you're thinking it, your life's probably unmanageable as it is, and
Right.
all it's going to do is be manageable.
right,
And what I think is, which is sad, but how much damage did I do to my child
right,
from all that time drinking?
Right.
And
Right.
she was 14 when I quit, so that's 14 years of her childhood, because you hear in the program so many people had a terrible upbringing, and that's why they
Right.
drank or this or that or whatever. And I'm just like, dang, I won't know for a while, because she's still young.
right.
I know.
How much damage I've done.
I know exactly where you're coming from. Well,
Well,
my
his
boy
little
is
girl-
little, but my daughter's 14 now.
Okay.
And it's just, I think about the same, for one, not being present is the big thing we talk about. Like, I'm there, but I'm not there, you know what I mean? And then, like, a lot of the visuals and stuff, visuals that I had as a kid, like when you open the refrigerator, there's always alcohol in there. When you open the freezer, there's always alcohol in there. Next to the sink, you know what I mean? There's always cans right there, you know what I mean? And I have those visuals and stuff too, and that kind of sucks, you know what I mean? And I have to think about, like, my daughter probably thought, like, my dad has had the longest cold in the history of the world. You know what I mean? I always say that, like, he's always going to the bathroom late at night, you know?
He
You
always
know
got
what
the
I mean?
sniffles.
He's always got the sniffles, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think about that, and it's like, man, like, any time you stop is the best time to stop. You know what I mean? It's never like, oh, I've waited too long to stop. Like, when you stop, it's the best time to stop, But I do think about that. Like, I wonder what kind of damage I might have done over the years, you know what I mean, before.
Yeah, I just don't want, for me, it always had to be, it doesn't have to be the dead end. Like, I didn't have a choice when I wanted to get sober. I had to do something because my wife was going to leave me if I wanted to stay married,
Right.
So that is something that it doesn't have to necessarily get to that. You can stop it now. And man, if there was something that I could do to put how I feel in a bottle and give it to people,
Right.
and be able to or just be given the words to explain it, so that they could really get a glimpse, just a glimpse of because that's what I got in the first 30 days, was just glimpses, a glimpse here and there of peace.
Right.
And then as I started going more, it got bigger and bigger, and it lasted longer and longer. And if there was a way to show that to people, I guess there is. That's us just living, being an example. Because I don't like preaching. I prefer, anyways, to try to lead by example.
Yeah.
Because anybody tell me that I couldn't drink when I was drinking, you go fly a kite. You ain't gonna tell me.
You ever drink more when somebody tells you not to drink?
Yeah,
Oh, definitely.
Definitely, right?
look at him in the eye.
Yeah.
And that was another thing when, I would hide it so I would get drunk faster.
Right.
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
'Cause I'm instead of just having a glass like normal people, I was taking 5 shots at one time and then coming back out, you know.
Yeah, instead of
From
just
the
being able to
closet
walk
or-
around casually with your glass. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not drinking because I'd never had really anything in my hand. I'd always just take shots.
Yeah. I used to do that to tell myself, that was another mechanism I used to try to fool myself. Like, I would always take shots. I'd go to the freezer, I'd grab my bottle, I'd pour shots, take a shot, maybe take 2 shots, go back to doing what I'm doing, come back 10, 15 minutes later, take another shot, 2 shots, keep doing that. Bottle's gone in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So start on the next bottle. You know what I mean? But, you know, I'm not guzzling out of a bottle. I'm just taking a couple shots. 13, 14 shots isn't
Yeah.
a couple shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and like, did you ever switch alcohol? Like, okay, I'm only gonna drink beer. Or I'm only gonna do this.
I would tell myself, like, I'm not gonna get a bottle today. I'm just gonna grab, like, you know, like a 12 or an 18 pack or something like that.
Kill
But
Oli.
what did I? Oh, definitely. But what did I tell? What did I tell you guys earlier? I've never told myself I wasn't gonna drink something and didn't drink it. All it would cause is an extra trip back to the store because now I got to go get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you dead set.
99% of the time I cave in the store while I'm grabbing
Yeah.
the beer. You know what I mean? Because like I don't want to come back later. You know what I mean? Or I'd get like a 5th. You know what
Or-
I mean?
yeah.
And then I'd still have to come back. It's like,
I would say, you know, I would do that too. I would get an extra bottle and I would say, okay, this is for the morning. You know, this is all I need for it.
This is
and
for the
then
morning.
in the morning, I would get there and it'd be like that much left.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
yeah, that
Yeah.
morning one turned into that second night one.
I would always like buy a.
And I'd be
smaller bottle.
shaking all the way to
You'd
the.
get a smaller bottle.
Yeah, and tell myself, okay, this will just get the shakes and this away, and then
Right.
back at the fucking store.
Back
I
at the
go.
store. I had the guy ask me a couple times, you sure?
Yeah.
You sure? He's looking out for me. He's
Yeah.
saving me drive time. You know what I mean? I'm sure, man. You don't know me like that.
Yeah.
2 hours later, he knows me like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you tell your 15-year-old self, your 14-year-old self?
What I would say is you don't need alcohol to have fun. And you don't have to be like other people. It's just whenever I was in high school, every weekend was a cake party. And that's just what we did. You know, you don't have to pick it up, you
Yeah.
know, because you don't know. You might do okay and only have a couple, or you might end up like me and drinking all day long.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I really I tell my 15-year-old, you're too young. You don't even really know what, you know, and you make dumb decisions when you're drinking. You know, it even one can change the decision that you're gonna make.
Yeah.
You know, and drinking and driving, you know, you think you're okay, and if you hurt somebody, and it's just all that stuff, and they're just learning to be. They're just learning life, you know, and I think that really puts a damper in their future
Yeah.
of what decisions they're going to make, you know,
Oh, yeah.
like college wise. Like, I mean, I wasn't a college student whatsoever. That's why I went to beauty school. But my daughter is, and I feel like, you know, the kids that just want to hang out. And I'm like, no, like you could be so much more. Like, do your AP classes now.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do the 2-year college. You can just go straight to a 4-year college. And she's already backpedaling. I'm like, oh no, here we go.
Right.
So
What is something that you try to do different than what your parents taught you with your daughter?
my first thing is I have never offered my daughter alcohol, or hopefully I never do. You know, because my dad never did, but my mom, you know, and that's, I mean, she didn't know I was going to turn out this way,
Yeah.
you know, so I'm not blaming her, but I don't tell them it's cool. I don't say it's okay, you know. I know she has drank, and I'm not like, you're grounded, you're in trouble,
Yeah.
because I don't want, I'm her friend and her mother, but you know, because if you don't, then she would never tell
Yeah,
me
you don't want her
that-
to hide it.
No, I don't want her to hide it, and I don't want her to not want to come home, you know, but I do also, like when I know there's a big event or a party or those type of things, I have her come home
Right.
instead of stay at other people's houses. So I know at that time, my freshman year, my parents were separated, and my mom was partying too. Not with us,
But still, yeah, she was newly.
It had been a while, but that's when she was at the bar, you know,
Yeah.
herself. So it was kind of like, do whatever, you know, everybody be home at 12, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'll see you there.
Yeah. See you there.
Everybody meet at the front door.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, my mom had a little different route being single, but yeah, I would definitely not share alcohol with your teenagers, you know, even if I tell other people, don't even have it in your home, you know, or a little bit, like you don't need a bar,
Right.
you know, so they can sneak it.
I think
Lock
that's
it
kind
up.
of. I think that's kind of like a different thing now. Because I remember growing up, my parents never had a bar, but I remember my friends having them.
Right.
They all of my friends, their parents had bars and stuff like that.
We didn't have a bar, but there was always there's a liquor cabinet
Yeah.
in every
Yeah.
single home. I felt
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
you know.
we didn't really
Yeah.
have that. I think because my dad didn't drink, so
Right,
my mom
right.
just got enough for her, and she didn't drink when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
It was when we got older and they separated. Then that's when she kind of started partying herself, and we were old enough to take care of ourselves, you know. And
Right,
so then-
right. She doesn't necessarily have to cook dinner every night and
Yeah,
all of that
on the
stuff.
weekends
Yeah,
and
on the
all that
weekends you guys are gone.
What would you tell what would you tell another lady who's going through this and might lose her husband over it or wife?
Well, it depends on the circumstances,
Obviously.
you know. So, because you need a support system, definitely at home. I'm glad I made the choice I did to keep my family together, you know, so we can raise our grandkids and all that stuff together, you know. And I'm not that type of person to have another person raise my child, you know, so that would be very hard. So that's a hard question for me because of different circumstances, because I couldn't handle somebody else in my home.
Yeah, for sure.
So get sober and take care of
That's right. Yeah,
Well, that's
right.
good enough.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want somebody else taking care of your kids.
And then stuff like that
What's
will happen.
song?
Yeah.
It's a guy for the guy, but that's my wife, but that's not my truck. And the
Oh, that sucks. I don't
I
even know
think
the
it
song.
happens.
And
It's a
that
country
sucks.
song, probably.
Oh no, I'm sure it is, but just hearing that part sucks. Yeah,
Yeah, I could tell it was a country song because it was a wife and a truck.
and a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not my house, my wife, but that ain't my truck. You know,
What would you tell somebody that's thinking about getting sober, realizes they have an issue or is on the cusp of quitting? What would you tell them to encourage them?
find a place, inpatient, outpatient, whatever you need. You definitely need support, because I've done it on my own. I've always relapsed, and just having that support of people. And when you're in a program, or at least the program I went to, there's counselors, there's therapists, there's, you know, teaching you
People
how to-
like you?
yeah, other people that are going through the same thing. And, you know, there's the good thing about it where we go is that they let the people that already graduate come back. So you have people with 5, 6, you know, years. You have people with 1 day,
Yeah.
you know, 90 days, you know, so that's, you kind of see it all in different chapters. There's somebody that's had more days than you and somebody that's less every time you go.
Right.
So you kind of have a little
Variety,
a variety
yeah.
of people. So I really do like that. It's not just all new people.
Yeah.
So, but I would definitely just say get into a program to have that support. It doesn't have to be a program. If, you know, a support group, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
ANA, whatever
Yeah.
you're just definitely have a support system. You know, I feel like even if it's just to vent about your home life, you know?
Right.
And that's what I like about the group. Nobody knows my family, so I can kind of say whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And, you know, it kind of just goes over their head. But
Yeah,
I
but
get
it
a
gets
vent,
off
and
your
it
chest,
It
yeah.
gets off my chest, and it might help them. I don't know, but it's off my chest, and I feel a lot better of what, you know. And they don't have an opinion. They just listen.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. And
Hell
then
yeah.
want to tell you that you have been an inspiration to me, watching you come in to the room, and you are more than, you may not know this, but I see you, and I see you as that backbone of that female group. You know, the backbone, one of the pillars, even within the co-eds, you know, men and women. You really, when you go in, you're not shy to talk to anybody. You talk to everybody. You know, you really try to, you know, it seems like you do it. I don't know if you just make it look easy, but you seem like you do it without judgment and just really genuinely want to help. I think that's what comes through when I think of, you know, when I thought about having you come on is how genuine you do come across. So I just wanted you to know that.
Yeah, thank you. And a lot was like my first day I went, I felt really awkward. So I tried to go, I don't want to say out of my way, but I don't want that person to feel awkward because I could have never came back.
It could have, it could have threw you
know?
off. Like, I don't like it here.
Like, ooh, that was weird because everybody's so friendly so fast.
Right.
And it happened. It only took me my second time, and I was,
Yeah,
you know,
it's all been cracking.
it was, it was kind of everybody had to get the feel of you a little bit,
Just a little,
But so I really just, even a hi, but everybody was laughing and giggling, and I'm like just sitting there like, okay, what's this all about, you know?
Right.
But then the next time it was like, you know, on and cracking and everything. But yeah, so I try to be where people don't feel uncomfortable, you know,
Yeah.
so they're wanting to come back. And I talk to anybody. So
I agree.
It's easy for me. So, but yeah, definitely I want to help people, you know, and not feel uncomfortable when
Yeah.
they're trying to make a big decision in their life.
Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I think somebody can really get a lot of good knowledge from you. So appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ramel.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Good to go, big dog.
All right, man. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.